July 1.
Today's date is April 19th, 2016, and this is the regularly scheduled board meeting of the County Commissioners for Suwannee County. Before we get started this evening, I've asked Commissioner Clyde Fleming to lead us in the invocation and the pledge. Please rise.
Let us pray. Our Father, we come this afternoon again in your name. We thank you for all your many blessings you bestowed upon us. Our Father, we thank you for how you brought us, how you protected us, how you kept us. We pray this day that you bless us, be with us this day. Keep us safe from all hurt, harm, and dangers. Bless us in this meeting today. Look over the officials today that's here with us, and we pray that you have mercy. Father, bless our county, our country, and our state. Oh God, we need you tonight, and we can't get along without you. We pray for strength and wisdom and knowledge and understanding to do county business. This we ask in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for doing that, Commissioner Fleming. Before we get started this evening, I'd just like to make a few announcements. If you'd like to address the board under the comments and concerns section, there is a comment card out in the foyer area. Please fill that out. Bring it up to myself or Mr. Harris or Mr. Musgrove or any commissioner you're choosing, and you'll see that I get it. We'll listen to those under that portion of the agenda. I'd like to ask that you silence your cell phones this evening. Commissioners, silence your cell phones, turn off the vibration at this time due to the microphone. Also, we're going to pull item number 12 this evening, or 13 rather. Item number 13 will be pulled for consideration at a future meeting. Okay? Mr. Harris?
Could I ask that number 12 be pulled out for individual consideration? Not pulled, I just want to discuss that.
Understood. When we get to that point, I'll pull it. Item number 1 on our agenda this evening is approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting on April 5th, 2016. Gentlemen, are there any changes or corrections that you'd like to see in those minutes? Hearing none, what are the wishes of the board?
motion approved.
Motion to approve made by Commissioner
Second.
Fleming, seconded by Commissioner Wainwright. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The consent agenda, are there any items other than item number 12 that a commissioner would like pulled for individual consideration? Hearing none, I need a motion for approval for items 2 through 11.
Make a motion to approve 2 through 11.
Motion made by Commissioner Sessions. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wainwright. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Item number 12 for individual consideration, authorization to purchase used trucks and equipment from Sarasota County from multiple departments. We'll turn our attention over to Randy Harris to discuss this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. As you know, we've enjoyed a tremendous relationship with Sarasota County when it comes to purchasing surplus equipment. We've done it for years. It's been a huge benefit to Commission and taxpayers, saved us a great deal of money. We've purchased many pickup trucks, some heavier trucks, other pieces of equipment, and that's what we plan to do now. Mr. Johns went down yesterday and spent half a day walking through starting equipment, looking at all of it, came back. We'd already spoken to various departments about their needs, and he checked a lot of those pieces of equipment out. Other than what has been budgeted, though, and this is the reason that I wanted to pull it, they have a great all that they have surplused. I think all of you commissioners recognize how critical that great all is to us when it comes to cleaning ditches and culverts and things of that nature. Our great all is on the verge of being completely worn out. We had 2 of them that were well used. About 6 months ago, we had to cannibalize one of them to keep one of them going. We did not try to budget for a great all this last year during the budget workshops because a new one runs between $350,000 and $400,000. Since this one has appeared on the list in Sarasota County, they have conversed with Mr. Johns and said that they'll offer it to us for $20,000. He said it runs. He doesn't know much more than that about it. but I think it would be a wise investment for us if we're going to continue, because right now we have no backup for the Great All, the one that is running. And we can't bring the other one back to life. We've taken too many parts off of it. So I would ask, and we did not budget for it, but if the board has an interest in purchasing that used Great All from Sarasota County, we have about $267,000 in contingency in the road department that would cover that expense. So I would just ask for you to consider that when you consider this agenda item.
I guess my question would be, if it costs close to $400,000 new, what kind of shape is a $20,000 Great All in? I mean, as Mr. Johns reported to us?
He said that it runs. He can't, they don't let you take it out and
No.
do all the motions.
I know.
But we've had very good success buying their used equipment.
I know.
I don't know what more I can tell you about it. I wish I could. I wish that, we could take it out and actually run it through the motions, but we can't. The gentleman down there that he spoke to, he did have a conversation with him, said that everything was functioning on it when they
Parked
put
it.
it in their surplus. And let me just elaborate a little bit on the difference between their surplus and our surplus. When we surplus the equipment and put it out to auction, many of our pickup trucks may draw $300 or $400 or $500, some of them a little bit more occasionally. But it's because they are completely worn out. We've purchased them used in many cases with 150 or 200,000 miles on them, and we'll put another 150 or 200 on them, and they're not worth much. In the case of Sarasota County, it's a larger county. They have a greater source of revenue than we do. They will rotate these out. Some counties have replacement policies where they will evaluate them after a certain age on the equipment or a certain number of miles and just go ahead and roll them out and buy brand new equipment. So I think that's why we've had such success down there, and I would anticipate that's probably why they moved this one on out.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wainwright?
So, Mr. Johns has been down there and has looked at the equipment.
Correct.
And we know we haven't taken it out and put it through the motions, but when he turned it on and was running it, can you go ahead and function all the hydraulics then? I mean, is it?
When he goes back down there, I'm sure that they will accommodate him with more time. When they go down there, they've got very large fields that are full of equipment.
I'm interested. I just want to make sure
It's got equipment in
that
front of it and behind it and around it.
that not only turning and running the engine on the truck, if we're running a hydraulic motor off of that we can function and manipulate the hydraulics to see if at least that's functioning.
I'm sure that they will allow him to do that.
I'm sure. You done, Mr. Wainwright?
Yes.
Okay. I think probably maybe some of the other commissioners are thinking this too. We've had such a great relationship with Ring Power and leasing equipment that's typically very costly. And I think that the problem here is that Ring Power no longer has a relationship with Great All. So we can't necessarily do that. Now, I don't know that Ring Power would have an interest in allowing us to purchase something from Great All and then doing the same deal, but it's probably worth exploring something like that, because you could spend $20,000 on a lease for several years and get a brand new piece of equipment. But I understand there's an issue there.
Yeah, our last conversation with them about that was that they were getting completely out. We couldn't look to them for service any longer either.
Right, I understand. Okay. Well, I don't know. I just don't want to buy somebody else's problems.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, that's a risk we take with everything that we purchase from them that's used, and I can't guarantee anything on that piece of equipment. All I can tell you is that the gentleman down there that runs that department says that everything was functioning when they parked it.
What is staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chairman? Can I say
Commissioner
something?
Fleming?
I have a lot of respect for Mr. Johns in purchasing equipment. They're mechanically inclined, and with them trying to sell it, for that $20,000 that they're asking, my question would be posed to Mr. Harris. Would it be okay if one of the commissioners go down with Mr. Johns? Ride down with
It's
him?
fine with me, yeah, I don't have any.
I would like to go.
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
fine.
So you want to postpone a decision on this until the next meeting? I mean, is that acceptable, or are we under a
No, it'll be
time?
gone, I think, is,
Well,
I think it's
Do it
Make it
tomorrow.
subject to the
Tomorrow.
inspection?
oh, it's tomorrow.
sale
Okay.
occurs.
Well, how quick do you want to go down there? I guess the sale's tomorrow.
He's going tomorrow to buy it, purchase it.
Or we have, I guess it will be pulled out of the sale if we decided to purchase it, I guess. That's typically the way it goes.
Well, I've got a comment about Sarasota also. I was down there last Tuesday looking at the buses that they have, and, I mean, I got in one, cranked it up as clean as a whistle, had about 170,000 miles, and I'm presently running stuff with 450 on it, and they've got a $1,500 price tag on it, which is probably worth way more than that. So what my thought is, like Mr. Harris, is they really just knock the price down. When they get to either the years or the miles, they just get rid of it at a really cheap rate. And there was some stuff for $1,500 that, like I said, is probably worth about $8,000 or $9,000. So they're just getting rid of stuff. So
Okay.
it may be a decent deal. But I would do it contingent on
Inspection.
inspection.
Now, am I correct in saying that they'll pull that out of the sale? That we're going to,
I feel pretty good.
I feel
They
that's
may
what
tell
we-
us no, but because of the relationship that we've built through the years with them, that I feel like they may go ahead and do that for us.
Okay.
I
All
don't
right.
mind trying.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll offer a motion of approval, Mr. Chairman, contingent on further investigate or further review of it.
Okay?
Do we need two separate motions, one for the budgeted items and one for this particular item?
I think he said he was going to pay for it out of contingency.
Okay.
Everything else fits in the budget. It was just this
Right.
one item, so
I'll offer a motion of approval both for the budgeted items and also for this, the grade all off of contingency.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant his contingency to buy the grade all. I thought you were interested.
Well, I mean, there was,
I know what you're talking about now, the truck.
okay.
I got
Do
you.
you- It's up to you, Mr. Chairman, if we need to do a separate motion. I've got one out there, a motion out there anyway.
Yeah, I know, there's a motion on the floor, or item number 12 on the agenda, authorization to purchase used trucks and equipment from, it says used trucks and equipment, so I guess it would fall under that, from Sarasota County from multiple departments. And these are budgeted items because it falls under the contingency of the road department. So I guess that would cover everything, Commissioner Wainwright. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Gamble. Is there any further discussion or clarification needed?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask just one question,
Sure.
because I can't remember, and I think Mark may be able to. Mark, wasn't that sale supposed to occur tomorrow?
We have to have documentation turned in tomorrow, yes.
Okay.
All right.
I just want to clarify that.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. As the record reflects, is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Moving down, item number 13 was pulled. We'll move past that to item number 14, discuss with possible board action a memorial plaque on the Baker property. We'll turn our attention to County Administrator Randy Harris.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, you know, this has taken quite some time on this piece of property. We've probably spent more time on this piece of property than any of the others. But I believe that we're very close to closing this deal. I had a conversation with one of the family members who requested that we place a plaque on the property once we've completed constructing our parking lot, putting our landscape in, acknowledging that this was the former home site of the family. And I told them that I would discuss that with the commission, that once our landscape beds are in, we might be able to accommodate that if the board agrees.
Okay? And the estimated cost of this was $800.
I believe so.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Harris regarding this?
How big a plaque are we talking about?
It's bronze.
Like this?
It's a bronze.
Laid in a
it's
rod?
16 inches by 16 inches roughly, but it's bronze, so it should last forever. It's a raised letter bronze plaque. And the price includes the post. We actually spoke to the company.
Is this family that significant, that we need to have that for perpetuity, sitting out there on the corner of the lot?
I think it would be good that we recognize this for the time and effort that's been involved in this process of acquiring this property.
We didn't even put a plaque out there for the Nettie Basin building.
I know, sir.
Either.
I know, sir. I know.
Thousands of children went through that thing.
Yes.
Commissioner's item.
Say that.
Commissioner's item, you forget that.
Oh, okay, I got you. Did you, okay. Anybody else have any questions regarding this? Concerns? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. I'm just going to say that it probably would be a good thing to acquire that piece of property at this time while it is available.
Let me ask a question.
Commissioner Sessions?
Would the cost of the property, would the $800 come out of the cost of the property?
No.
Or is that an addition?
No. It's an addition.
Just asking.
I would speculate that we've spent far more than that in staff time trying to bring this to closure.
Yeah, we probably have. Just asking.
It's been a labor of love. So it would behoove us to do this, so I would entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to buy the property.
No, we've already done that.
We're past that part.
Past that part. We're just saying that it would,
Part of the
It would
negotiation.
speed it up,
right.
the proverbial grease, I understand. I'll make a motion, we go ahead and do this so we can get this thing done.
Thank you, Commissioner Sessions. A motion on the floor to approve item number 14. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Fleming. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Which two? Do we have two or one down here?
I was opposed.
Okay. We have 4-1. Commissioner Wainwright is opposing.
I don't want my name in the paper, much less on a plaque somewhere.
All right. Moving back up, I did one thing. I need to move back up to commissioner items. We're going to turn our attention now to Commissioner Clyde Fleming, who wants to address the board.
Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and my heart go out to the Alcorn family. Just a reminder, sorry, Tim, just a reminder of the accident that took place a week and a half ago, a couple weeks ago. And I prepared a brief statement concerning the accident on 129. I have concerns on these increased traffic in the area. It could result in other tragedies out there. Last week, I experienced 2 cars exiting the same exit area about 6:30 in the morning without stopping at the stop sign. I've been in discussion with Mr. Harris, and I've also talked with Mr. Jamie Driggers, Kim Evans, and another gentleman, which is the engineer. He called me today and said that they would do an extensive study, traffic study concerning traffic lights in that area out there. That would enhance these type tragedies, as traffic increase, businesses out there, people coming into our community, people getting on and off the interstate. That is a safety feature that can help us, and it help our county as it go on. So what I'm saying, my recommendation is that we ask for a traffic study for traffic signals because the increased growth, traffic, and businesses in that area out there.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I'd like to speak for just a minute.
Mr.
Jim Alcorn, 14549 County Road 250. Now, that was my son-in-law out there a week and a half ago, and it could happen to anybody in this room. That exit is dangerous. I mean, I didn't realize how dangerous coming from the east headed west was till I went back out there, come down that ramp, and you stop at the bottom. There's a lot of blind spots because of all the signs back this way. I mean, this was a couple from Deltona, Florida, doing everything right. They stopped at the stop sign. They itched out just a little too far. Somebody's dead. Half a split second one way or the other, my son-in-law T-bones them in the side of the car. that guy's dead and my son-in-law is dead. I know you guys are limited on what you can do, and I know this community is, but anything we can do to get DOT maybe to look at that exit, I mean, you guys all know, we're probably the last exit on I-10 to get lights. Every other exit that I know of has lights.
That's right.
Most all the exits have stoplights, you know, to let people off and on. Like Mr. Clyde says, you go out there and if you just sit there, there's people come through that thing 55 and 60 miles an hour on a normal basis. You know, like I say, anything that you guys can do to just punch up DOT. I mean, you know, this is a tragedy that's over with, but maybe we can use it so that it doesn't happen to somebody else.
Mr. Alcorn, can you relate to this commission how many lives have to be lost there before DOT's attention is even directed that way?
Well, I was told that 10 lives have to be lost there before they'll look at it. Well, you know, I was with some people and this lady was a little upset. She says, how do you put a dollar figure on a life? I mean, you can't, it's impossible.
One is too many.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. You know, and like I say, this could happen to anybody. This is one of these things to our family and my son-in-law's family. You see it in the newspaper, you see it on the news, but it's not supposed to happen to you. And it can change your whole life in a half of a split second. I mean, this thing could have been, like I say, it could have been worse. There could have been two fatalities there instead of just one. Mr. Clyde called me that that day and said, you know, he was going to start doing something. You know, like I say, just anything we can do to maybe this won't happen to another family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alcorn. Any further comments by the board?
I'm in approval, Mr. Chairman. We can send a letter or whatever, anything to help encourage
Well,
DOT to
okay.
reevaluate that.
Well, why don't, I'll work together with staff to prepare a letter to go to DOT, and, well, I'll bring it back to the board for your approval, or I can email it around to you, and if you
Okay.
guys just say you're approved on it, then we'll send it on. No?
Let's bring it back.
Okay. I'm just trying to expedite it. I mean, I don't think anybody's in disagreement that we need to make this a priority, that interchange up there, because I can see there are multiple times when we pulled up to that exit out there and there's a truck that's flipped over because they're taking a turn too fast or something like that. So,
Mr. Harrison, Mr. Chairman, excuse me. Mr. Harris and I have just drove up and down that corridor. And there were some things that, when he first told me, I didn't see it. Those curbs, they're very dangerous. And in asking, I would like to, if they're going to call Mr. Harris, they're going to get in contact with him, that median be taken up. That's a very dangerous piece of,
well,
concrete item.
you see people trying to pull out of McDonald's there and stuff, and there have been suggestions, but I think now's the time.
yes.
I think now's the time. So let's just make that a priority, and we'll stay on top of that. Any further comments? Hearing none, we'll move on.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I thought you meant comments in regards to that particular item. I've got an item I'd like
Go ahead.
to bring before the board. I know every district has properties that has problems. I went out and was looking at a number of properties over the weekend, just, it's a dump, just an absolute dump. People complaining about garbage blowing all over into their fields and into their yards. And we've already we do have a code enforcement officer. I'd like to really just, with the board's approval, I'd like to enhance his activities, but also, we had approved, well, I don't remember if we approved it or not, but there's been a letter drafted by council that we can go ahead and initiate and get a magistrate on board to help with these issues. And I'd like for the board to go ahead and consider approving that letter being drafted and sent out so we can go ahead and get, there's a lot of opportunities for folks that are moving into the community, or you want to call economic development, or just just retiring here, whatever. And these particular places that I've been out and was looking at over the weekend and yesterday are just, it's a pitiful sight. It really is. And I don't know where to draw that line, but that's, we don't have to sit here and decide that tonight, but I think, I'd really like to see this board take some further action and getting this thing pushed on through.
Well, I'll remind you that, you know, we have a line item for this in the budget that we have severely defunded.
I spoke with counsel about it, and he can elaborate a little bit more clearly on what we specifically need to do, but yes, I agree. I'd like to see us go ahead and start initiating some action.
Okay. Do you have any comments, Mr. Pravat?
Mr. Chairman, I think all we really need to do is take action to authorize the advertisement of the position.
Okay.
We've got the draft of everything ready, you know, to be able to go, and Mr. Harris and I had, this issue had already come before us before, and so we were getting prepared for this, but
Okay.
that's all we need to do is a motion to authorize, go ahead and do the position.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to do that?
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Fleming. Do I hear a second?
Well, I'll second, but does this have to fall under additional agenda items, or, I mean, 'cause
Well-
No, it's on the, while you're up here on the commissioner items like this, that's fine.
Okay,
Go for
okay.
it. This is just an authorization for the
Just send-
position.
just-
It'll come back whenever
Okay,
we do
second then.
that for approval for it.
Seconded by Commissioner Wainwright. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
That's
So
all
you're
I
gonna,
have.
you're gonna bring that back for us to,
The advertisement is pretty standard for what the position is and what we've utilized for. So to go ahead and just get the position advertised, then y'all will make the, you know, salary stuff when you do the negotiation with them on the back end of it, you know, when you get to affect your budget and stuff. But we need to go ahead and put it out there and get the candidates going.
now, correct me if I'm wrong, but at one time, we were gonna kind of piggyback along with the city's magistrate issue, but I don't think that ever came to fruition.
Well, the problem becomes, that's what we were considering. The problem becomes that under the dual office holder position, you know, for the state, and a code enforcement magistrate falls under the officer category because they make quasi-judicial decisions.
I see.
So you can't use the same
I see.
one.
Okay.
So we need to advertise for a second person.
Well, just a little history. I mean, we abolished the code board some years ago, and this is just kind of the outworking of the purpose of moving towards that magistrate position. So anyways, we'll see how that goes. Thank you, Mr. Pravat. Anything further from the commissioners? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 15, discuss with possible board action any items related to the state's attorney's office, if necessary. Mr. Harris, do you have anything to report to us in relation
Just give
to
you a
site
quick-
prep and stuff? We see that you moved some dirt around out there and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and, we have some seed on there, but I'm going to continue to shape that a little bit better. We need to get some dirt in there, but because it was raining and washing some of it away, we pulled it back with the grader, and we'll finish that up and seed that. One issue that I'm working on, and Mr. Pravat was in a meeting with me last week, is an issue where the city has to make a decision on whether or not we can move those storage containers from where they are to back here on the other side of this building. We met last week, had a conversation. I stopped back by today hoping that a decision had been made, and was informed that there's supposed to be a meeting Thursday with City Council to discuss that, and they must be discussing some other items. I can't imagine meeting just to discuss those containers, but I'll probably attend that meeting in hopes that we can go ahead, because we need to move those. There were 7. We moved 3 out to the Sheriff's Operations Center. We have 4 that need to be moved. Mr. Baker indicated that he believes he'll be able to empty one of those in the next year. But I felt if we moved them and screened them, buffered them with some of that PVC privacy panel fencing and cleaned it up better than it is today, that it would be suitable. In addition to that, the car wash, carport, and little utility building that the sheriff uses needs to be moved as well. So that's one issue that we're trying to resolve, and hopefully we'll bring some closure to that as well very soon. The other items we're working on with utilities that are underground that have to be relocated, we're scheduling and continuing to move forward on that. Following the closure of the purchase of this last piece of property, we'll go back, talk to the company again about coming back to demo that. And then we'll be busy. I just got a set of the plans here that I'm going to go over, and I've been dealing with the contractor, trying to finalize everything so that we can continue to move forward. That's all I have on the state attorney's office right now.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Are there any questions of the board to Mr. Harris regarding this project? Hearing none, we'll move on to the item number 16, additional agenda items. I have 3 here, additional agenda items. Are there any others that any commissioner would like to add at this time? Hearing none, I'll read the 3 that I have into the record. Number 1, request funding support for a campaign initiative for the restoration of Amtrak passenger rail service from New Orleans to Jacksonville and a station stop to be established in Live Oak. Number 2 is approval of an agreement with the Florida Department of Corrections for fire and EMS services, and I believe that's the one in Lafayette County, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? And number 3, we have to authorize and approve the permission or posting of a position for the ag extension agent that is being vacated that you were informed about at the last meeting. Once again, I call, is there anything else?
Could you repeat number 1 again, please?
Yes. Request for funding support for a campaign initiative for the restoration of Amtrak passenger rail service from New Orleans to Jacksonville and a station stop to be established in Live Oak. That's a mouthful.
Okay.
Any other questions about those items? Anybody have any heartburn? Okay. Item number 1, as read, this is a funding request for a campaign initiative to be instituted, and I believe Dr. Jackson can give us some further details and answer any questions about that. Dr. Jackson, you have...
Good afternoon, Chairman, Board of County Commissioners. Briefly, we are, the Amtrak Committee and City of Live Oak and the CRA been working on the Amtrak reestablishment. We have gotten word that we are pretty close on the reestablishment of the rail. The Congress has intent to reestablish and fund it. At this point, they have encouraged us to continue a public initiative, meeting with our congressional delegation. We've met with Senator Nelson, Congressman Yoho. We have actually engaged the Southern Rail Commission because in that first congressional act, it specifically says that it would fund the initial sites, stops. And then the next action is the additional stops that would be considered. And we were on a phone call this week. Commissioner Sessions was on that call. And basically Amtrak has acknowledged that Live Oak wants to stop. But Amtrak indicated that we have to really do a very public campaign initiative to keep it active. And so what we're requesting is funding for to assist with the campaign initiative. We have estimated it to be around $30,000, and we are coming to this board as to request $10,000. We're going to go to the city of Live Oak and request $10,000, and we are going to try to get on the tourist development agenda this week to request $10,000. From the tourist development standpoint, this is the kind of program that they should be funding because it's a marketing campaign. And when we talk about marketing, basically it's very specialized. It's writing op-eds that may be required, actually helping to develop the digital campaign for getting to our congressional delegation. And remember, it's not just our congressional delegation, it's the Commerce Committee, Congressional Commerce Committee that we need to pretty much communicate with those individuals. And so this is what this fund is for. The CRA will serve as the fiscal agent, and basically within this, it would be a monthly invoice from the CRA. So this campaign is expected to be about 5 months.
Mr. Jackson, the $30,000 figure was kind of at the low end of the spectrum, was it not? Isn't the?
Yeah, it is, and we've pretty much said we would do the basics. I mean, at this point, it's moving right along, but we're running out of hands and feet. What I want to say is that Normal, Illinois, I mean, this from an economic development standpoint, this can be such a game changer, energizing not only for Live Oak, but the region. And one community that I did benchmark, in the last few years, there were 2 communities, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and Normal, Illinois, that basically created a stop. And the one that, it's not apples and apples, but basically from an economic standpoint, I think it's the same. They had a rail depot that was on the south side of town, which was outside of the CRA. They moved it to the north side, and as a energizing method for their downtown area. Basically, when they developed that, there was significant private investment that came into that community. Their property values downtown increased over 200%. They ended up with 2 hotels. One was a 200-bed hotel with a conference center. And basically what they have become now is what I don't want to say subpar, but a subpar conference center to Chicago. Chicago is about 60 miles away. And so when we're talking about this rail from New Orleans to Jacksonville, we're really talking about from New Orleans to Jacksonville to Orlando. And basically, we are missing in this area a great opportunity of getting Europeans who's accustomed to traveling via train to this area to visit our natural resources, our trails, our bike trail, our river. The other point is that we sent out, the Spirit of Suwannee sent out notices to their visitors to the park, and the response was overwhelming. We had over 2,000 respondents, and pretty much individuals were saying that, if you had a stop, we would utilize the train to come to the Spirit of Suwannee events. And so this can be a real game changer for us. It would make us what I call a transportation mobility hub, and that's what this is all about. So we need a little professional assistance. Commissioner Sessions has been sitting in on those meetings, the conference calls. Maybe he wants to try.
I was going to say, if you would, tell everybody here what the city has stepped up and done already.
The CRA, not the city, the CRA, 2 weeks ago, actually purchased the land. They have land under contract, the 4.5 acres that's adjacent to the railway. And so that was a big step for them. So what happens is that we have a restored depot that's ready to go. It's a matter of doing a pad and a walkway. Mobile, Alabama who was one of the original stops, has to build a new depot. The deputy chairman of Amtrak came back to Live Oak, he didn't tell us, and basically looked at the depot, had dinner at the Dixie Grill, and so he's been a real big proponent from inside to make this happen.
Excellent. So, just for clarification's sake, these monies will be used to contract with a private marketing firm to market our area.
Correct.
Can you talk about the credentials of this firm so we feel more
Well,
comfortable?
the firm that we actually looked at was
Oppenheimer.
and actually, they are the firm that provide marketing services to the Florida League of Cities. And we knew that we had a short period of time under the CRA procurement procedures. Basically, they can purchase, I think, with under $50,000 without going out to bid. And we didn't really have a whole lot of time, and we wanted a firm that, basically has a track record and can get to the stakeholders we need them to get to.
Now, this is the same firm that has done redevelopment for the city of Tallahassee.
Correct.
And marketing for the city of Tallahassee and some of, so this is
Yep.
this is something that they specialize in.
They specialize in these type campaigns.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Dr. Jackson?
I'd like to, if we go through with this, I'd feel really comfortable in knowing that, and I know you have, but just for the sake of just hearing you say it, make me feel better again, that you're going to be involved with the CRA and watching how this is developing, to make sure that, everything's on track.
Correct.
You, without going into a lot of detail,
Yes.
you understand what I'm getting at.
Yes.
We've had this discussion.
Right.
Just-
And that's why, my proposal is to do it on a reimbursable basis, monthly basis versus writing a check.
Okay.
Like that, Randy?
Have we got any commitments from other governmental agencies currently at this level?
Not currently. To be honest with you, I think everyone's waiting for the county commission and to
Why?
well, I mean, you all are the leading policy in the economic development arm, and I know Commissioner Wainwright and myself has had this discussion that, if the other entities don't step up, then, we're not going to commit $10,000. It's everyone has to be in this game.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is if I were making a motion, I might make it such that would be contingent upon the commitment of two other governmental agencies, whoever they may be, at the same level
Correct.
or greater.
I wouldn't worry about a contingency, Mr. Chairman. Just make the statement and do it, and the ball's in their court. If they let it drop, then the monkey's on their back. I'll move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Wainwright. Do I hear a second?
second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Sessions. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Item number 2, approval of agreement with the Florida Department of Corrections for fire and EMS service. We'll get a briefing on this by our Public Safety Director, James Summers.
Commissioners, Chairman, this is a continuation of a current agreement that's been established for about 4 to 5 years. Due to the limited resources Lafayette County has, Mayo has asked for us to aid them with EMS services and fire services in the event of an incident. So this is just a continuation.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. I would just ask that if the board, if someone does decide to make a motion to approve this, that they would make it subject to the county attorney's review.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Wainwright, seconded by Commissioner Gamble. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Item number 3 is the request for permission to post the job that's being vacated by the current ag agent that you were informed of at the last meeting. It's pretty cut and dry. It's not, there's no backup or anything. It's just procedural matter. Motion made by Commissioner Wainwright. Do I hear a second? Who threw that out there? Commissioner Fleming. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you, gentlemen. Go back up to our agenda here. Move on to item number 17, public concerns and comments. I only received one it's not even a public comment card, it's a request from staff. We'll turn our attention to Catherine Allen. She's going to talk to us about meat judging, a reminder of the CARES dinner, and FAC poverty simulation. Welcome up, Catherine Allen.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I just wanted to bring you a little good news. We had a 4-H meat judging team, and as you know, Brian Estevez, our 4-H and Youth Development Agent, has been really working hard with these kids throughout the years, and we have 2 more state championship teams. So on Saturday, they were down in Gainesville, and our senior division, which is 14 and up, they placed, not only were they the state winners, but our individual, they also compete on an individual level, and they got first, second, third, and 7th highest in the state.
Wow.
Yeah,
As is
so.
their custom. We shouldn't.
That's
have
right,
that.
exactly. We're starting to, people are intimidated, I think. Our intermediate team, which was 11 to 13-year-olds, they placed first, fourth, and 6th highest in the state.
Wow.
So again, we have some outstanding youth. This means that because they both placed first, just so that you know, the senior team has a chance to go on to national, which will be in Kansas in October. So this always presents us with a conundrum. We want them to win, but it also, we want to make sure that they have the opportunity to travel and take advantage of this marvelous experience. So I'll probably be coming back to you again. So just a warning there. I did also want to remind you to put on your calendars the CARES event. This is through the Florida Farm Bureau and the Suwannee River Water Management District. This is those farms that are implementing best management practices on a voluntary basis. And for those of you who don't know, our region here is really, they are the leaders in this, There's not a lot of other folks that are doing this voluntarily. Typically, it's a stick rather than a carrot, and yet our folks are doing the right thing for the right reasons. So this is really a celebration that those farmers, and recognition that those farmers are doing the hard work to make sure that we're protecting our waterways and managing nutrients. So hope that you will be there. There will be a tour for legislators that day. And I think the Water Management District will be doing that, so it's a good opportunity to make sure that as you have all these different issues, that you have an opportunity to talk to them as well. Sorry? That is May 5th. May 5th. So if you don't already have that in your calendars, please, May 5th. And that'll be at the Suwannee Valley Ag Extension Center. So that's what we used to call the research center, so it'll be out at the farm. So just make sure that you come and wear something cool, because usually it's hot out there. Also wanted to remind you, I know that a lot of you will be going to the Florida Association of Counties. That'll be in June. And I wanted to specifically highlight one of the activities that'll be going on there. On Thursday, June 30th, it's at 1:45. They're going to be doing a poverty simulation. This is something that the University of Florida Extension has done in other counties. And I'm hoping that if you attend the Florida Association of Counties, that you make it a point to attend that, because I think that this might be something that we want to do in our community. I did it about probably 15 years ago, and it was really powerful. And I did it again 2 years ago down in Highlands County in a different role, and it was still amazing. And I think it helps us to look when we're doing planning. And so I hope that you will attend that and see if it's something that we want to do here. So, and then the last thing, thank you again for your support of our programs. Again, it is a a state-county split for the funding of those positions, and that one is a really important one, so I thank you for your support.
Thank you, Mrs. Allen. All right, moving on to item number 18, administrators' comments and information. Do you have anything for us, Mr. Harris?
I'll make it very brief. I've had conversations today, yesterday, last week about our potential funding from CDBG for the railroad. I anticipate at this time a contract on those funds within 3 to 4 weeks. When that contract arrives, it'll start a 60-day timeline where lots of things have to occur within the county, a lot of paperwork, a lot of paper shuffling, different little issues that need to be accomplished, as well as some activities by the companies, and they're aware of that as well. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I'm very hopeful and believing that we're also going to obtain the funding from the Rural Infrastructure Fund to go with that rail funding that we need.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Board members' inquiries, requests, and comments. We'll start down with Commissioner Fleming.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything tonight.
All right. Commissioner Sessions?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Wainwright?
I got 2 items, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
First of all, Branford had its 2nd annual Catfish Festival this past Saturday.
Yeah.
It doubled in size from last year.
Wow.
It was a great day. Great to see that little community growing and flourishing, and it's just, I got to admit to you fellas, I think that's the hub of the county. I tell you, that's, that river setting down there just really sets that community off. But
Center of the universe, right?
it is mine anyway. Well, maybe up toward McAlpin. Secondly, I got a call today from Daryl Smith. Daryl Smith was with FDAX and had moved to Tallahassee. Was very instrumental in this community with soil conservation and things of that nature. He is now working with Water Management District. He's moved back to Live Oak.
Wow.
And part of what Catherine was sharing with us, the CARES initiative got started couple of decades ago. And the application of those particular programs that were brought together by this coalition of agencies has been in immeasurable benefits to this region. Daryl communicated that he'd like to try to facilitate an enhancement of those organizations that have participated in the past, and maybe we're getting a little stagnant since we've made so much progress over the years. But anyway, with the board's permission, he asked if I would be willing to serve on that committee. And it's just right now it's just one initial meeting that's going to start. May include some I guess some activity from the board. I don't know, but basically with my interaction with them in the past and my ag background, they wanted to include me in that. And so with y'all's permission, I'd like to serve on that.
Okay. What are the wishes of the board regarding that? You have any comment?
I don't have a
Do
problem with it.
we need that in the form of a motion, or you think?
No, I just because he mentioned it might be a participation of the board. If it was just me as a farmer, that'd be one thing, but since he brought up that my capacity might include being a board member as well, representative of the county commission, I don't want to do that unless y'all have y'all's permission to be that representative.
Sounds like the board's in agreement with that. So you can report that back to him, and we'd be happy to hear your report from that meeting.
Be glad to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Gamble?
I don't have anything tonight.
Okay. The only thing I had, a couple of items, health-related items. You may have fielded some calls or emails about what the county's doing about the Zika virus, and I just kind of wanted to brief the board, and I have a sheet here if you guys have any questions. It's recently been updated with the travel notices and everything, and I thought it was appropriate for us because one of the travel concerned areas is Cuba, and that's very close to us, and we have people that come from that island and then travel north and come through our area. And I will tell you, the health department is already studying what they can do to help prevent this and treat this and do that, and your local hospital is also doing the same thing to prevent, not prevent, but to educate and then also be ready to treat this. So some of the things that you say, well, we've heard a lot of things about the fact that it's for pregnant people, but one of the other causes, it could also cause Guillain-Barré syndrome, and if you've had any issues with that, any family or relatives, that is a very, very unpleasant thing to deal with, and it lasts months sometimes, so that's one of the side effects for rather healthy people, not necessarily people who are pregnant. But just try to educate yourself a little bit on that in case you get some calls on that. The other thing I wanted to report on is, we have a critical access hospital here, and there's only a few critical access hospitals that are okayed or recognized to treat cardiac patients. And critical access hospitals out of all 50 states, we are only the 11th. There's only 11 that are accredited to treat cardiac patients. So that's pretty strong right here in Live Oak. Of all of them in all 50 states, there's only 11, and we're number 11 at this point in time. So I thought I'd share with you today, sometimes the beginnings of a heart attack can occur not only weeks, months, but sometimes months before you actually have one, and I just wanted to pass this along to you. I took an oath to do this, and so I'm going to pass it along to this board. This job, we have a lot of stress, and I'm sure that all of you out there have a lot of stress. So some of the things that you need to look for are nausea, pain that travels down one or both arms, jaw pain, fatigue, anxiety, chest pressure, squeezing or discomfort, back pain, shortness of breath, or a feeling of fullness. And then the symptoms that we're all familiar with are mild chest symptoms, pressure, burning, aching, or tightness in the chest. So those can occur not just at the time of the heart attack, but prior to, and the best time to treat those is before instead of while you're having a heart attack. The outcomes are much better. So I did it. You guys can feel free to pass that along. You probably are laughing at me, but I said, well, you might see somebody having one. So anyways, that's all I got for you this evening. Unless there's anything else, I just need one thing, gentlemen.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Wainwright, seconded by Commissioner Gamble. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
See you next time.